Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to modify this pipeliner's hood to fit Miller headgear. So me and Luke are sitting in the truck. This is my helper Luke, younger. He met me in North Dakota 7 months ago.
Before we got North Dakota, 6-7 months ago.
6-7 months ago. So he was on Jake's channel. There's a little video clip I sent Jake of Luke. So we're sitting here and we're going to modify this hood, which has the Sellstrom flip front, which everybody's familiar with the Sellstrom flip fronts on these. We're going to modify this hood because this headgear isn't the comfiest. It has only 3 points of contact versus the 5 points or 4 points of contact on this one. But the annoying thing is you can buy those aluminum like threads for the aluminum tighteners. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on. I'm actually gonna wreck this headgear in one spot. You'll get to the point where you'll want to try to tighten this so much that you'll strip out these threads. And this one's holding up pretty good, but I've had it where these, you go to tighten it just a little bit more and then you hear a pop and then you can never get this thing to tighten again, and it's just a pain. So I saw somebody with the Miller headgear on it, which it's really simple to do this. I didn't know you could even fit the Miller headgear on this. So we're gonna disassemble this hood part, which is just taking these tensioners off, which this plastic hardware will strip out. You can buy the aluminum ones, but they're expensive, and I think actually the aluminum hardware costs as much as this Miller hardware. This is the Miller part number 256174. I don't know if that'll show the correct direction with my camera. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this apart. Now notice the adjustment for how you, like, how far the hood flips forward. This one has a peg, which this headgear that came with it has this piece on it. I would say you probably cannot use the hard hat adapter after you do this, so just think about that. So this one has the piece built into it, so it's contained. All you need to do is make this fit this hood, which, see how this is a square hole? This happens to be a square hole also. I'm gonna take that apart. Where'd it go? You got it? Cool, that's what I need. So you got O-ring. Don't lose that. That'll tighten the hood, keep the tension. So you got the star nut, this piece to hold the tension onto the hood. Notice how that's a circle that seats into that square. So now all you have to do is file your hood square to fit that square. And once you do that, you can slip this piece on the inside and make it fit through there, and then make your headgear work. So I'll show you how I'm gonna mark this. I'm just gonna take this little square, or the little piece. I need to trace that square onto here. So I'm just going to line it up, center it over the hole, and I think I'll just make a few marks. There's some kind of lens, just as a ruler. Clear lenses make nice rulers. So now we'll take that and mark our lines out for our hood. Now, I didn't measure. I'm not really concerned with measuring. You could if you want. I just think I'll be able to get it close doing what I just did, which was tracing the square and then filing and just test fitting it. So I'm just gonna take this triangular file and I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna lay a towel down over my lap. I'm just gonna file that piece of the hood out. Sweet. Okay. So we have this piece, and this is our square hole, which we've made bigger. Square hole that was already square. We just made it a bigger square. I got this piece to fit with the file. Now just note this plastic piece. Can you see that little piece sticking up on top? Got that? Okay. You just have to mark, and I just took the edge of my file on the one of the triangles and just made a little notch there, and now this fits really nice. So that side's done. Just move on to the next side, which I'll do a little time lapse of. This didn't take very long. This little fine square file, or not square, triangle, the triangle file worked really good. So I'll just keep going, and this should be done in about 10 minutes. Got the other side marked out. We're just gonna file that and we should be ready to put the headgear. Well, we have done it. I have the adjuster in the middle. I put that file mark upwards. Just note that's important on how the headgear works. I thought I might have to move it, but it works. It's tight. It's comfortable. Now, Luke had a pipeliner, a Fibre-metal Honeywell pipeliner, and you got annoyed by these, right?
Yeah, my experience was similar to yours. The plastic screws strip out, and then your hardware explodes, and instead of welding, you're crawling around looking for everything.
Yeah, or where I've been on the, 100 feet up on the scaffolding, messing around with my hood, just trying not to drop my little pieces down the scaffolding as I'm frantically trying to make my hood work with because it's the same equipment, the screw equipment. If you need these screws, you can buy the hard hat adapter for the pipeliner if you strip these. Or you can just get this. And now this has much more adjustment. You got adjustment here, just like you did. But now this one even has in and out adjustment. You can adjust this in more. And I've been playing around with it a little bit, and I've got it fit pretty good for me. And you've never used a Miller hood, right?
No.
So tell me what you think, first reaction after you mess around with that for a little bit. You probably have to make the head bigger.
I'd say it fits much more comfortably than the headgear that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's more adjustment I see there.
Yeah, now stick that on and just try to put it up and flip it down a few times. Feel if you feel like it stays up enough.
Oh yeah.
And it has a really good engaged nod, right? That's what I really liked about the Miller. I had a Miller Elite for a while. I actually sold it to buy a pipeliner. A pipeliner with a Miller Elite. A pipeliner and a Miller Elite cost about the same if you get the hard hat gear. I think it's the cost of the hood, the Cellstrom flip front, and a couple passive lenses with singles is about the cost of a Miller. But I definitely like this flip front. I'd suggest doing that. This has been chopped about that much. This hood is chopped on the bottom. It doesn't have the full piece. So I'm gonna try this out. I really appreciate the headgear so far. This Cellstrom flip front has also, I've used a flat file. I can fit my my full clear lens and auto darkening lens in there, and a thick Wens lens. If you guys are familiar with Wens lens, they make the blue lenses and the really interesting shade lenses, but they're double thick. So yeah, I think it's a really good modification to these pipeliner hoods. Everybody's buying those aluminum screws and getting the outlaw leather, which I sometimes wish I had leather and I'd chop this more. We'll see. I've had this hood for a couple of years, and I like it. I mean, it made me a lot of money. Now, I've went through 2 of these headgears, and then I used to have, they make one with a bungee. Have you seen the ones with the rubber? It has, like, you can do it with surgical tubing back here. On the back of the headgear, you can cut this out and then make holes and then put a piece of, like, surgical tubing. Or the one that comes from Fibre-metal is like a piece of rubber, but my head is tiny. Like, my head size is tiny. I wear a 6 7/8 size chromer hat. I mean, my head's small. Like, people put my hood on or my hard hat on, they go, whoa, and then I have to crank it out a bunch. So my head's tiny. So with my head being so tiny, I actually kept flexing. I kept flexing it right here, and it would like, you know how you can like work material back and forth and it'll snap? It used to do that just from putting my hood on and off. But yeah, the one down thing is, if you really like it on your pipeliner, is you cannot tip it back any farther than this, because the pipeliner used to be able to walk with it clear back here, you know, on the back of your neck, just flip completely 90 degrees up. But this one stops right here. But you can adjust those knobs, and the Miller has a really nice knot engagement drop. Yeah. So I hope that helps people out. I would suggest doing the Celstrom. There's videos on that. I would suggest chopping here and chopping here. I don't know about the hard hat adapter for the Miller now, but this is much more comfortable and probably in the long run more reliable, because I bet I've spent $60 on hood parts just to run one of these. But it's an awesome hood. I never wore a face shield when I was in the Boilermakers doing boiler work, but now an even better hood for boiler work, which I don't know if you could do this headgear swap on it, is the Huntsman Fiber Slider. And it has a deal here. I'll try to put a link in the bottom, the description, and it has a slider here, and that is the narrowest hood that I know of with a slider. So you get a clear lens to grind with, and then you slide it back down, that I know of, and that's a very nice hood. Now, those don't like water. You can get one made out of plastic, but the fiber one is lighter, much like lighter than this. And that is probably the ultimate hood, in my opinion, is the Huntsman slider hood. If I was to do it all over again, I would probably buy a Huntsman slider. I know these are really popular, but the Huntsman, you'd probably be fine with most applications. Boiler guys love them because you can squeeze that hood. It's only like this big, and you can fit a respirator in there, and you can squeeze that hood into some really tight spots in between tubes and beams and everything, and squeeze that in here. Where this one gets a little bound up, but the nice thing is you can flip this down a little easier in some circumstances. But the other case is the Huntsman slider, you can get closer because you don't have that in your way. Horse apiece on a couple hoods. You'll never go wrong if you buy this hood. You bought this as your first hood, right?
That was my first one, yeah.
Yeah, and you bought it because you just saw people using them, right?
Right.
Yep. And were you happy with it? Other than that?
Other than the hardware that came with it, absolutely.
And yours is unchopped, unmodified.
Right. Full sugar scoop.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna do you want to do a flip front adapter?
Possibly.
Possibly. We're gonna do the headgear.
Definitely do the headgear.
We're gonna do the headgear, and then we're going to chop it on the bottom, so you can get the ability to look down more. That's just a small taper. There's videos on that, so hope that helped everybody out. I haven't personally ran one of these, but I met a guy named Daxton Schaefer that had ran one for a long time, and that's how I learned how to do it, and I'm sharing that with you guys. So have a good day and be blessed.